Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening based on wherever you live. Welcome back to my channel. Today we will be continuing our Salesforce interview question series, and this is the part 11 video where I will be discussing more about data loader and data processing. Okay, so let's get started. So the very first question we have today is, what is a data loader? Okay. So data loader is a desktop tool. Desktop tool is nothing but which we can install in our PC or a laptop, right? So data loader is a desktop tool or application used to import and export bulk data in Salesforce. Okay, use it to insert or update, upsert, delete, hard delete, export and export all Salesforce record. Okay, so we can perform all these operations using the data loader. Okay, and when importing the data, data loader reads, extracts and loads data from a comma separated value file. So basically we have to add the data into a comma separated file and then feed into the data loader with certain operation, and then whatever operation we selected, it will perform that. Basically, if we create a CSV file and ask it to insert or to perform the insert operation using this CSV file, then data loader will insert the records in Salesforce. Okay, and when exporting the data, it outputs the CSV file as well. So if you are exporting the data from Salesforce, right, it will export the data in the CSV file format. Okay, so what do you mean by insert? Insert is nothing but inserting the records, new records basically, into Salesforce. And update is nothing but updating the existing records. This is also straightforward. Upsert, right? Upsert is maybe a new terminology for few of you. So upsert is the combination of insert plus update, right? So what it does is, if it finds the record based on certain key in Salesforce, then it will update that record. And if it doesn't find the record in Salesforce based on that certain key which we specify, then it will simply insert that new record. So we don't have to do separate operations. We can perform both operation, insert and update, together. And we should give a key to Salesforce data loader to identify if this record finds based on this key, then you update that record. If you doesn't find the record based on this key, you can insert the record, right? So we can do upsert in Salesforce. And delete, straightforward deletion of records. And then export, in the sense, I want to extract all the leads, right? So I can use the export functionality, export option in data loader to get all the records of the lead, right? We have another option called export all. What it does is, it extracts all the records from Salesforce, including the recycle bin. If you remember in my previous videos, I have explained about the recycle bin. What recycle bin does is, whenever we delete the records, the record will not be directly deleted from Salesforce, but rather it will get stored in recycle bin for 15 days. And after 15 days, automatically it will delete from that recycle bin. So if you want to extract all, let's suppose I want to extract all the leads, right, which is there in the object as well as which is there in the recycle bin, then we can use export all functionality. Okay, so this is how the first screen of the data loader looks like, right? You have the main screen wherein you get the options of insert, update, upsert, delete, hard delete, export and export all. Choose any of this button to whatever operation you want to perform, right? Obviously, before this screen, you have to log in into the data loader using your Salesforce credentials. Okay. The next question is, what are the steps to insert data in Salesforce using data loader? Basically, almost all the operations have few steps: insert, update, upsert, delete and all. But I'm going to show you all the steps for these different operations. Okay. So the very first step to insert the data is to prepare the Excel sheet with the data. Excel, in the sense, I mean to say that CSV only, but yeah, you prepare this sheet in the Excel and then save it as CSV or whatever you want to do. Okay. So basically CSV also does mean that, we can create CSV using the notepad also. But here what I mean to say is notepad, it's not you have to create in a comma separated way. It's not so user friendly. That is the reason I'm mentioning over here Excel. So open it, open an Excel sheet, add the data, but while you're saving, save as .csv file. Okay. So you get the data in rows and columns instead of, opening the notepad and creating the comma separated value. So don't get confused. Step 2 is open the data loader and log in with the right credentials. You can use your Salesforce credential to log in and then click insert button, which I have just shown you in previous screen, and select the object you want to load the data. So the third screen will be, you have to select the object where you want to load the data, then choose the CSV file which you prepared in step 1. So you already prepared the CSV file with the data, right? So you have to choose this CSV file in the step 5 and then map the fields. Basically, we have to map the fields. For example, in your Excel sheet or CSV, you might have given a student name, right? But in Salesforce, that field name is name. So you have to map the fields. So which field in Excel should go to which field in Salesforce, okay? And then you have to click the finish button. Then the data will be inserted in Salesforce. So note, when we insert the data, your CSV file should not contain ID fields, right? Because IDs are the ones which are generated in Salesforce after the record is created, right? So don't add ID field, right? As IDs are generated only after the record is inserted, okay? So here is the screen, first screen, just click on the insert button and then select the object. Here I'm selecting the lead object, and then next step is to choose the path where you have saved the prepared Excel sheet or CSV sheet, right? And then click on next button. As soon as you click next button, it will give this message, right? Initialization succeeded. Your operation will contain 4 records. Okay, just hit the OK button and then you will see this screen. Okay, what will happen is this screen will be there, and the field which are available in the Salesforce object will be will be shown here, right? And then what you can do is you can click on here. If you can see here, we don't have any field map, right? So what we can do is just click hit on this create edit map button, right? Create or edit map button. Then what will happen is it will create it will open this dialog box, and then what you can do is click on auto match field. So automatically, if it is matching to some extent, it will automatically place those fields. But even if it is not mapping automatically, you can just drag city and drop here. Okay, for example, here in an Excel sheet you have city, but let's suppose in Salesforce you have building city, so it might not map automatically. So what you can do is just drag and drop the field over here, so it will automatically map. Once it is mapped, click on OK. Okay, so see, after auto match, it has mapped name, annual revenue, company, and country description. If these are not mapping, if you think there is a relevant field for the unmapped, you can just simply drag and drop and place it over here. Okay, and then click OK. And you have to give the directory, select the directory where your source and error files will be placed. So once it is finished, right, it generates the success and error file. So you have to just browse and give the path and then click on finish. So once it is done, it will place the result into this directory, and you can go ahead and see if the records have been inserted or if there is any failure, etc. If it is any failure, just see what is the failure. Sometimes you get validation errors and then fails. So you might not be entering the right data. There's the reason it might fail. So you can go and correct the data and then reload it. Okay. Next is what are the steps to export the data in Salesforce using data loader. Okay. First we have seen insert, and then we will see export. Okay. Why I'm not showing the update and upsert now? Because insert, update, and upsert almost have same steps. Okay. But export might have a different steps. That is the reason I'm first showing you the export. Let's go ahead and see the export. So in order to export, what you have to do is step 1, again, open the data loader and log in with the right credentials. Always you have to do this, and then click the export button. right? And then select the object you want to export, okay? And then select the file location where you want to store the extracted data, okay? And then choose all the fields, or you can select only the fields which you want to extract, okay? We'll see that in a minute how it looks like, okay? And then step C, provide the conditions. If ever you want to provide, for example, in the lead, you don't want to extract all the data. Maybe you want to load the data where lead type is equals to something, right? Then you can give those conditions, and then you can, or maybe you want to load extract the lead where city is equals to New York, okay? So you can give all those conditions as well before extracting, and then click on the finish button. Next step is open the folder and file you provided in step 4 and see the data. Basically, this is the last step, but just go ahead and see what data you have extracted and see whatever you want is what extracted or not, okay? So this is how the screenshot looks like. You click on the export button. Obviously, you have to first log in and then click on the export button, and then you have to select the object, which object you want to extract the data from, and then give the location, okay? You have to give all the location. It might not be there in this screenshot, but the full location will come if you want to give a different location. But automatically, if it will take the default location and just gives extract.csv, okay? But if you want to change, just change it. And then click on next button. And here, as I said, right, you can select whichever field you want to load, right? So let's say I am having 100 fields for lead. I don't want all the 100 fields data. I just want 10 fields data. So you can go ahead and select here as well. All right. If you want to select all, you don't have to scroll and click check on all the fields. Simply you can click select all fields. So automatically it will select all fields, and it will create a query also for you, right? And if you want to change the query, if you want to write a different query, you can even write by yourself as well, right? But whatever the fields you have selected, automatically it will create the query for you, okay? And then here, as I said, we can add the conditions. Here, what condition I'm adding is where rating equals to hot. So automatically it has modified my query, and it has given a where condition where rating is equals to hot, okay? So Salesforce does by itself. If you want to add more conditions, you can add more conditions as well, okay? And then click on finish. You have chosen to perform an export. Click yes to begin. Do you wish to proceed? So it just gives us a warning, and then we can click on yes. Then it will load the data, right? So what it has given us the final message. The message is the operation has fully completed. There were 4 successful extractions and 0 errors. If there is any error, it will give the number of errors as well. If you hit this view extraction button, then it will give you the errors and whatever the data it has extracted, okay? The next question is, what is the difference between export and export all? I have already explained you, but you just go ahead and see. So export will export all the records from the object, whereas export all will export all the data from the object as well as the records from the object available in the recycle bin, okay? For example, I'm loading lead, extracting lead all, extract all for lead object. It will extract all the available records from the lead as well as all the records from the leads which I have deleted, okay, and which are available in a recycle bin for the lead object. It will extract all those things, okay? As I've explained here, if we delete few records from the lead object and if we export all, then it will extract the records from the lead object as well as deleted records of the lead object from the recycle bin, okay? The next question is, what are the steps to update the data in Salesforce using data loader? Okay, almost it is having same screens like insert. So I have just given the steps. Okay, so step 1 is export the existing data from Salesforce which needs update, or prepare the data with Salesforce IDs. Basically, why I'm saying Salesforce ID means first extract the data from Salesforce. For example, you want to change all the lead rating from hot to something else, right? So first export the data, right? Or you want to change all the New York City address to, New Jersey or whatever it is. So first export the data from Salesforce in the step 1, and then open the data loader and log in with the right credentials. Okay. and click update button. Okay, and then select the object you want to update the data, right? And then choose the CSV file which you prepared in the step 1. Okay, you have to feed this and map the fields from CSV to Salesforce object fields. Okay, and then click on finish. So it will update the records into Salesforce. Okay. The next question is what are the steps to upsert the data in Salesforce using the data loader? Okay. The step 1 is export the existing data from Salesforce which needs update with Salesforce IDs or external ID. Okay. So upsert, we need an ID. Okay. Because it will update based on the ID or external ID. And if it doesn't find the matching IDs and external IDs from the CSV file or to the Salesforce, then it will create the records, means insert the records. Okay. The next step is step number 2. Open the data loader and log in with the right credentials. And step 3 is click update button. Step 4, select the object you want to upsert the data. Step 5, choose the CSV file you prepared in the step 1. And step 6, select the unique fields to upsert the record. It will be either Salesforce ID or external ID. Only this screen on the data loader will be different from our insert record screens. Okay, we'll see that. Then map the fields from the CSV to the Salesforce object fields and then click on finish. Okay, so you will get this one extra field where you have to tell which unique ID you have to use for upsert. Okay, so it will automatically give which are eligible, IDs or field with which you can upsert the data. Okay, so for now just select ID. If you have an external ID created, it will give in this list external ID as well. Okay, and then it's done, it will be upserted. Okay, so what is the difference between update and upsert? Simple, as I said, right? Update is used to update the existing records, whereas upsert is the combination of update and insert. Okay, if the unique ID is matched with the existing record, then it will update the record. And if the unique ID is not matched with the existing record, then it will insert the new record. Okay. The next question is, what are the steps to delete the data from Salesforce using the data loader? How do we delete it, right? So this is also very simple. Step 1, first export the existing data from Salesforce which needs to be deleted. Okay. So you don't have to export all the column, only ID column is enough to delete the records. Okay. And then click on delete button on the data loader and then select the object you want to delete. Let's say I want to delete the records from the lead object. So select the lead. Okay. And then select the CSV file prepared in the step 1. So basically you need this, and then map the fields from CSV to Salesforce object. That is only ID fields. Okay, if you click just auto map, automatically ID will be mapped to the IDs. Okay, and then click on finish button. Next question is, can we insert, upload, upsert, delete, or export more than one object at a time using a data loader, right? So let's see. No, basically we cannot do. I'm not sure if you are observing that whenever I have shown you the screens for insert, right? Or maybe I have shown the screens for export also. So we were getting the options to select the object, even though I'm seeing the list of object, but I can select only one object, okay, at a time. So I can insert into only one object at a time. Okay, I can update into only one object at a time. Okay, I cannot multi-select the objects from there. That is the limitation of this data loader. Okay. Next question is how to import a multi-select pick list column using the data loader. Okay. If you know multi-select, right? Multi-select is basically we can select multiple items from the pick list value. Okay. So on the CSV file, on the column where it has the multi-select, make sure to separate values using the semicolon. Basically, when we select multi-select pick list, right, it saves in the same field, but with commas, it stores. With semicolon, it stores. Just go ahead and query field with the multi-select. You will see how it looks like. Okay, so we have to do the same thing we have to add it into this single cell, and then we have to separate them using the semicolon. Okay. So also on the CSV file, make sure that the values are the same values available on the multi-select pick list or the global value set used. So basically what it is saying is, for example, you have the values like hot, cold, warm, lead, right? So the Excel sheet also should have these same values only, right? Hot, cold, or warm. If you add anything else apart from these things, these three values which are available in Salesforce, it might give you an error, okay? Saying that this value is not matching with the pick list values of whatever field you mentioned, okay? So be careful, try this one, okay? So next one is how to import data containing special characters using Salesforce data loader. Sometimes you have data with a special characters, so what we have to do, okay? So let's see, to import data containing special characters such as this, the source data file should be properly encoded. Basically, we have to encode the file, the source data file itself, okay? How do we do that? It's a lengthy process, but just try to, practice this one, okay? I'm sure you might not remember all the steps, but at least if you practice 1 or 2 times, you will be able to answer at least more than half of the steps, what you have to do, okay? So the steps and to ensure the file is properly encoded, we have to do these steps, okay? Modify the source data file in .xls format. First, make the format as .xls, okay? Then in the Microsoft Excel, save a copy of the file as a Unicode text file. So open the file in an Excel format. Whatever data you have to place it there, and then change the format into Unicode text format. I'll show you how to do that, okay? Just remember that we have to change the file as a Unicode text file, okay? And then open the Unicode text file you saved with the text editor, and then to change this file setting, click File, Save As. You have to do this, file extension as .csv, and then you have to save the type as all files, okay? And you have to select the encoding as UTF-8, okay? And then click the save and close the file. Try to perform this 2, 3, 4, 5 times, okay? Then you remember all these things, okay? When you read it for the first time, you feel it's something which you can't remember, but when you do it, you will be able to easily remember these steps, okay? I'm sure all the 5 or 6 steps, okay? Then import the data using data loader as you normally would, and select the newly created .csv file. Everything is same, but you just to perform this steps, and then after that everything is same what we have learned so far, okay? Note, don't open the file after you have saved the settings, or you might revert the encoding changes, okay? If you open the file after you save, then you might revert the changes, okay? So how do you save that? This is the way, okay? While you're saving, just give the name, whatever it is, extract.csv, and then save it as all files, and then you can click on UTF-8 in the encoding format, okay? So next question is, what is hard delete in Salesforce, okay? The ability to delete records permanently from Salesforce without being stored in a recycle bin is called hard delete. Means I want to completely delete. I don't want this to be saved in Salesforce recycle bin. That is nothing but the hard delete, okay? So hard deleted records cannot be restored as these are permanently deleted from Salesforce. If you remember the video where I have explained you, if the data you have deleted, first it will go in recycle bin. So what is the advantage of recycle bin is, if you think that, okay, the data which you have deleted is by mistake, right? You can simply go to the recycle bin and get the data back. But if you hard delete, you will not have that option. Okay, so the next question is how to enable the hard delete option on Salesforce data loader. I'm not sure if you have realized in my first screenshot that we were having all the options, and even hard delete was there in that screen, and it was disabled. Okay, so let's see. So what you have to do is go to the data loader settings and enable use bulk API option to enable the hard delete option. Okay, so if you could see this screen, hard delete is disabled, right? But rest of them all are enabled. Okay, so you have to go to the settings, and then this screen will open up, and then use bulk API checkbox. Just check this checkbox. Okay. After you do this, automatically hard delete option will be enabled. Okay. So even after the hard delete button is enabled, the user is not able to hard delete. What is the issue? So even sometimes after we enable this, right, it gives an error. Okay, it will not allow us to hard delete. So what could be the problem, right? So if the user is not able to hard delete even after the hard delete button is enabled, then we should enable the hard delete permission from the user's profile. Basically, because these two are two different things, right? The data loader and Salesforce. Data loader is an application we downloaded and installed, but Salesforce is a web-based thing, right? So even though we have enabled the button on the application, but when I'm trying to delete, it is not hard deleting. Okay. So because it is not, the user doesn't have the relevant permissions. Okay. So what you have to do, go to the profile, system permissions in the profile, and then check the checkbox for bulk API hard delete. So you will get this option. Make sure that it is checked. Okay. So the note is sometimes Salesforce does not allow to enable some permissions on the profile directly. Okay. In these cases, create a permission set and enable the permissions and assign the permission set to the user. I'll show you what I mean. So sometimes if you even try to give this permission, right, Salesforce does not allow you because it will be still disabled. Okay. So that could be some reason, like, Salesforce does not want you to give the this permission to the profile and everyone in the profile get this permission, right? Because this is something which we should give carefully. Okay. So rather what you should do is you should create a permission set, and then in permission set give this option, and then assign to that particular user only and who needs this hard delete permission. Next question is which Salesforce edition supports data loader? Basically all Salesforce edition doesn't support data loader. Okay, let's see which one supports. So Salesforce Essential does not support the data loader. Okay, whereas Professional supports, Enterprise supports, as well as Unlimited also supports. Okay. By the way, Developer Edition supports data loader, so don't think that I have not given here, so it doesn't support. No, so I've just given the editions which are used real time. Okay, so your Developer Edition still supports data loader. So what is the next question? Can we bypass validation rules, triggers, workflows, etc. while loading the data using the data loader? Let's see what is that answer. No, right? There is no direct option to bypass validation rules, triggers, workflow rules. However, we can deactivate the validations, triggers, workflows, right? So when you upload the data, there are multiple validation rules. So we have to make sure that whatever the data we are uploading should match all the validations. Okay, right? If there is any validation error, then your data load will fail, right? So as well as triggers, right? We want to make sure whether the trigger should run or not, right? And workflow rules are the same thing. So can we do that? Can we bypass? There is no direct way using the data loader, but if you ever want that, you can go and deactivate the validation rules, triggers, and workflows. You cannot deactivate triggers easily in production, so that is again a challenging task, right? As well as you cannot do, basically it's not really simple to deactivate all these things if you are working in a very big org where you have hundreds of validations. It's not possible, basically, right? It's time consuming to do that, right? So yeah, so there is a hard way, but you can if you deactivate, you can bypass. Okay, deactivating validation rules, triggers, and workflow rule is a complex process, as just now as I said, right? Alternatively, at the times of design and development of validation rules, triggers, or workflow, if we provide a configurable Boolean value or flag which we can use to deactivate or activate with the less effort. So what happens is if your org or if your implementation has been designed by a very good architect, right? Or maybe the person who was working is a very senior development and an intelligent development, what he can do is whenever he is writing the validation rules, triggers, and flows, right? What he can do is he can provide a Boolean value with the first condition, and that Boolean value we can set it using maybe some custom labels or something like that one, right? So we just go and change true, then validation will run, and just go and change the custom label or whatever it is and make it false, then validation triggers and workflow rules might disable, right? That is one of the best way if you want to do, right? But if you don't have this design in place, then again it is a big effort. Okay. So, okay, next question is which fields can be used to update or upsert the records in Salesforce? Okay, so Salesforce ID or external ID field can be used to update or upsert the records or the data in Salesforce. Okay, we can use these two things to update or upsert. Refer to the Salesforce interview question and answer part 2, okay, where I have explained more about the external ID. Okay, why do we use external ID and all those things I have given in detail in the part 2 video. Okay, so in which file format can we save Salesforce mapping? Basically we have done Salesforce mapping, right, in our upload, insert and all those things, right? So we have the option to save it as well. Okay, so the question here is in which format we save. Okay, so let's see. So there is a format called .sdl. Okay, in .sdl we can save the file. So, but basically what is the reason why we should save this field mapping, right? So the reason is if you are working for a big org or in a big org, you might be doing this data loads very frequently. Okay, and you don't, and if there is some repetitive task, you don't want to map the field every time you are loading the data, right? So what you can do is there was a screen when you are mapping the fields to save the mappings. Okay, so when you try to save the mappings, it saves in .sdl format. Okay, so that is how we can save the data, the mapping in the .sdl format. So what is the benefit of saving the data loader mapping? I have already explained you. Okay, so just read it. So when we repeatedly load the data with a large number of fields, then we can use the saved.sdl file to quickly map the fields instead of manually mapping it on each data load. Okay, next question is how to insert null values using Salesforce data loader. Okay, sometimes we don't want to provide any data for the field, we just want to provide the null values. Okay, so how can we do that for few columns? Okay, so go to the data loader settings and enable insert null values to insert the null values using the data loader. So here is how you can do. Open the settings, go to the insert null values and then insert the null values. Okay, what is the maximum batch size of the data loader? Okay, let's see this first. The maximum batch size is 200 records. Means in a batch, basically Salesforce inserts data or process the data in the batches. Okay, so it will create one batch of 200 records. So that is the maximum batch size is 200 records, right? So the maximum batch size is 10,000 if we bulk API option is selected. Okay, if you want to increase this, then we have to select the bulk API option. If we select the bulk API option, then we can give maximum batch size as 10,000. Okay, what do you mean by batch size, right? The batch size is nothing but the size of each batch of records Salesforce can process at a time. Okay, example, if we try to load 1,000 records, then Salesforce divides the 1,000 records in 5 batches of 200, right? As I said, right, default we have 200 unless we use bulk API to process, so it will be 200. So if it is 200, so when I have 1,000 records in my Excel CSV file, then it will process it into 5 batches of 200. Okay, so when should we use bulk API option in the data loader? Okay, let's see. Select this option to use bulk API to insert, update, upsert, delete and hard delete many records at a time asynchronously. Asynchronously in the sense what? We start the process and Salesforce will take its own time based on the availability of the resources, and then it will process. Basically we have to forget, just click on this and forget. So that's where it does asynchronously. Okay, so it is a faster than the default SOAP API, based API due to the parallel processing and fewer network round trips. So when it does the asynchronous, right, it try to pass on multiple batches at a time, right? That is the reason it is faster. So multiple batches at a time means it is doing a parallel processing. Okay. So that is the reason it is really fast as well. So what is the enable serial mode for bulk API? So when we are processing in parallel, then what is enable serial mode for bulk API option, and when should we use this option? This is very important. Okay. When should we use this is important. We have this one, but when should we use this? Okay, let's see. This option is to load the data in serial mode, right? Bulk API use parallel mode, but we want to force the bulk API to process the data in the serial mode. Okay, then we should use this enable serial mode for bulk API. Okay, so this option is to load the data in serial mode instead of a parallel mode when we are using bulk API. Okay. So processing in parallel can cause database contention, right? So when you process in bulk API, by default it processes in the parallel mode, right? But when you process in parallel mode, it will have database contentions. What does that mean? Well, multiple processes trying to process one record, right? So yeah, I mean there is a very big explanation I can give on this one, but to brief you on this one, I have one record, parent record, and I have, let's suppose, 200 child records. Okay, or maybe two child records as well. One batch is having one child record and another batch is having another child record. So both the batches, if trying to update at the same time, then it will give this contention errors. Okay, means first batch came in and it locked the record to update. At the same time, second record came in and it is also trying to take the control of that record, but that record is locked. So that time we will get these contention errors. Okay. So when contention is severe, then the load will fail. Okay. If you have huge contention, then our load will fail. That is the reason we enable serial mode for the bulk APIs. Okay. So serial mode will process one batch at a time and avoid contention and failure. Okay, I hope you understand this very well. So the next question is, what is the data loader CLI? I'm not sure if you are aware, but CLI is nothing but command line interface. Okay. So data loader CLI is a command line interface for the data loader tool. So far we have used the data in a GUI mode, means graphical user interface, means a user can interact to it. The user can click the insert button, user can click the update button, upsert button, but in CLI, user will not have the GUI, so user cannot do it. Has to be done using the commands. Okay. So when we use the command line, we specify the configuration, data source, mapping, and actions in the file. So we give all the commands in the file, and then since this data loader CLI will process by itself, even we give when it has to run. Okay. So CLI allows us to set up the data loader for automated processing without user interaction. Okay. So those times we can use this CLI. CLI can be used in a scenario where we want the data loader to run automatically every day or in some intervals and load the data or extract the data by itself without user interaction, right? So this is the good use case actually. I want some data which is placed in my C location data loader, right? I'll be placing my file maybe every day. In the morning I'm placing the fresh file. So, and I want that file to be loaded into Salesforce automatically, right? So if we can do manually also, but it's good if we set up this CLI. Okay, you might be getting this question as well, but yes, the intention is not that you should know, I mean, you don't have to have the 100% knowledge on this one, but at least you should know what is CLI, right? You can explore always, and then you can set up yourself as well. Okay. So the next question is, what is an import wizard? So far we have discussed data loader, but there is one other thing which we can use to import the data. We call import wizard, right? So import wizard is an inbuilt Salesforce web-based tool to process the data. So far we are doing with data loader, but now import wizard. Okay. So the data import wizard makes it easy to import data for many standard Salesforce objects, including account, contacts, leads, solutions, and campaign members. Okay. So we can also import data for custom objects. We can import the data for certain standard objects and we can load the data for all the custom objects. Okay, we can import up to 50,000 records at a time. So the limitation over here is we can load the data only up to 50,000 records. If we have more than 50,000 records, then we cannot use the import wizard. So import wizard looks like this. It is inside Salesforce itself. You have to go to the setup and the import wizard. You will find, click the button, you will see this import wizard, and you have multiple steps. Choose the data, edit the mapping, and start the import. So here you have to select the objects, right? Here I can see leads, accounts, contacts, solutions, and campaigns. I don't have any other objects, but I can choose all the custom objects. Okay, but only this many standard objects. And then we have some selections like use assignment rules or to email owners, or assign all leads to campaigns, trigger workflow rules and processes. So we have the option to check or uncheck the trigger to run triggers and workflow rules. Workflow rules. Okay, whether we should trigger the workflow rules or not, right? And then we have to select the data file, okay, to what it has to do. Then click on next. Next question, what is the difference between data loader and import wizard? Okay, let's see. So the following are the few important differences. The data loader and the import wizard. The data loader is an external tool which needs to be downloaded and installation. Okay, and import wizard is an inbuilt web-based tool in Salesforce itself. You don't have to install anything. But data loader supports more than 50,000 records, up to 5 million records. Okay, if you have 5 million records, then go with data loader. No, not 5 million, but more than 50,000 records, go with data loader. Okay, whether or not you will be able to process 5 millions with the data loader is again a different challenge. We'll discuss that later, but yes, the maximum limitation is 5 million records, right? But data import wizards supports only up to 50,000 records. Okay, so it supports almost all standard objects and custom objects. Data loader supports everything. Okay, but import wizards only supports accounts, contacts, leads, solutions, campaign members, and support custom objects. This is the limitation. Okay, support delete operation, right? Data loader, we have seen it support delete operation, but it does not support delete operation. Okay, does not have option to choose not to trigger workflows. I've just shown you, right? So we don't have any option in the data loader to not trigger the workflows, but here we have option to choose whether or not to trigger the workflow rules or not. This is one good option we have. Okay, what if we want to load more than 5 million records? Even millions is something which it's a question of whether we'll be able to do it or not, for the reasons that CSV should support. If you open the CSV in Excel, then Excel should also support to open that many records. That is one challenge, but this is the maximum limitation. So what if we want to load more than 5 millions, right? So even the data loader support 5 million records, but it is advisable to engage with the ETL team if you are required to load the data in millions. If you have millions of the data, just don't go with the data loader. You have better tools. Go with the ETL team. If you are doing loading the data in the millions, so definitely you will be working for some enterprise organization, and definitely enterprise organization will have separate teams. ETL team. ETL is nothing but extract, transform and load, right? They will have a powerful tool which is capable of which will be capable of loading the millions of data. Okay, so which file format is supported by data loader and import wizard? Same. So for both data loader as well as import wizard, both supports .csv file. Okay, what are the other free, premium or premium tools available for Salesforce data processing? So far we have learned data loader and import wizard, but is there any other tool available in the market which you can explore? That is what we can see, right? Apart from Salesforce and data import wizard, here are the few more tools you can explore. Okay, most of them I have used. I really like Salesforce Inspector. You try this one. Okay, this is really very faster one. It is not a tool you have to install. It is you can just go and search Google. It is a Google extension, right? You can install the Google extension on your Chrome browser, and then it will be enabled when you open Salesforce. Okay, I might have another video separately just to explain you how good Salesforce Inspector is. Okay. And then we have another tool called Data Loader. I think this is owned by MuleSoft, dataloader.io. Okay. IO is a web-based tool. Okay. This is also good. We have Jitterbit Data Loader as well. We have AutoRabbit Data Loader. I'm not sure if you have heard. AutoRabbit is normally a deployment tool, but they also have option for a data loader, which is also really good. Okay. If you have this, yeah, you can do a lot of things. These two I also have used. These are really good. Gearset is also another tool. This is again a deployment tool which is used to deploy the metadata, but they also have the option to data load, have the option to add on as an add-on license for a data loader. This is also really good. The best part of these two things, AutoRabbit and data loader, is let's suppose you have 5 objects. Okay, and these are the parents and child objects, right? You just select the first object, which is the parent, and automatically it will pull the related child objects, and it will automatically map the data and automatically parent the data as well, right? You don't have to worry about it. So it's really faster if you are or easier or less time consuming if you are trying to load the data with multiple parent-child relationships. You don't have to worry about it. Automatically it takes care. It gives the wizard where you have to just confirm things, right? You select first object, and then it will say, okay, this object is having these objects as the childs, and then you should click on next, and then automatically it will load the parent records as well as all the child records, as well as it will parent also once the data is loaded. So this is really good, very handy. Okay. We have Skyvia also. I have not used a lot, but I heard that this is also a very good tool you can explore. So these are paid. Jitterbit, I think it's free plus paid, and AutoRabbit, Data Loader, Skyvia is definitely a paid one, no free version on this one. Dataloader.io, you will get free to some extent, and if you want to do more things, then you might have to take the premium one. Okay, so this is nothing but the freemium. So try this as well. Okay, it saves a lot of your time in your job, right? As an administrator, you will be spending, I'm saying that, a lot of time in data loaders as well if you are working for a enterprise organization, right? And yeah, so that's the reason, just go ahead and explore the different tools and try to save your time, right? Most of the company supports as well, right? If they think that these tools are saving your time, then they will even buy the tools, right? Okay, so yeah, so these are all the good tools I've used personally, except this Skyvia. Okay, here are the references. Basically, whatever I add, right, I try to follow or refer it only from Salesforce site so that you get the latest and updated information. Yeah, that's all for today. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching. I hope this video helped you prepare for the Salesforce interview and crack your next job, right? If you like this video, make sure you hit a like and subscribe to my channel right now, right? That way you don't miss out Salesforce interview questions and answer videos like this one, as well as just click on the subscribe button below this video. And if you want to read more about this interview questions, I have also have the blog. I will be giving the link of these questions in the comments. If you don't want to watch the video, that's absolutely fine. You can go ahead and read it. Okay, that's all. Thank you so much.